Welcome to our journey into the world of Greek mythology, where ancient stories explain the mysteries of the cosmos, the gods, and humanity itself. In this first episode, we begin at the very beginning, from the formless chaos to the rise of powerful titans and the birth of the Olympian gods who shaped the world and the fate of mortals. Prepare to step into a timeless saga of conflict, creation, and divine power. In the beginning, there was only chaos. Not a place, not a being, but an endless, yawning void, a vast emptiness stretching beyond imagination. Chaos was the silent abyss before time, before space, before anything took form. It was not darkness nor light, but a formless gap, a yawning chasm where the very concept of existence had yet to awaken. From this boundless emptiness, the seeds of creation were sown, for chaos was the womb from which all things would one day emerge. Out of this profound nothingness came Gaia, the Earth Mother. Gaia was not merely the land beneath our feet, but the very embodiment of life's fertile essence. She was the nurturer, the provider, the ancient force that bore the mountains, valleys, rivers, and all living creatures. To the ancients, Gaia was the first tangible presence, the solid ground upon which everything else could be built. Her vast body stretched across the universe, and from her flesh rose the lush landscapes and mighty peaks, the endless seas and gentle plains. Shortly after Gaia, Uranus, the sky, appeared. Uranus was not just the heavens above, but a divine entity who cloaked Gaia like a celestial dome. He was her partner and counterpart, the endless blue vault that arched over the earth. Together, Gaia and Uranus joined in a cosmic embrace, their union becoming the source of the very first divine beings. Their children were not mere mortals, but titanic forces destined to shape the cosmos. From the depths of chaos, alongside Gaia and Uranus, came other primordial forces: Nyx, the goddess of night, who draped the world in darkness and mystery; Erebos, the shadowy embodiment of the underworld's gloom; and Tartaros, the abyss itself, a dreadful prison far beneath the earth, where the wicked would one day be cast. These beings represented the raw elemental powers of the universe: light and shadow, life and death, order and chaos. As Gaia and Uranus gave birth to the Titans, the cosmos began to pulse with burgeoning power. The Titans were colossal, ancient beings embodying natural and cosmic forces. They were the first generation of divine rulers, a pantheon of immense strength and might. Yet Uranus, fearful of his children's power, grew cruel and tyrannical. He imprisoned many of his offspring within Gaia herself, chaining them away in the dark recesses of the earth, causing Gaia unbearable pain. The pain and injustice roused Gaia to rebellion. She crafted a great sickle and implored her children to rise against their oppressive father. Among the Titans, Kronos was the youngest, but the most daring. He accepted his mother's plea, sneaking up on Uranus and striking him with the sickle, severing the sky from the earth in a violent and symbolic act of rebellion. With Uranus dethroned, Kronos claimed dominion over the cosmos, and the Titan Age began. But the cycle of fear and violence was not over. Kronos, wary of the prophecy that he too would be overthrown by one of his children, swallowed each newborn immediately after birth. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon vanished into his belly, trapped in a dark prison. Rhea, Kronos' sister and wife, grieved deeply. When her youngest son Zeus was born, she resolved to save him from the same fate. In secret, she spirited Zeus away to a cave on the island of Crete, where he was raised by nymphs and tended to by the magical goat Amalthea. To deceive Kronos, she wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and presented it to him, which he swallowed without suspicion. Zeus grew strong and wise, nurtured in secrecy and destined to challenge the tyrant who ruled the heavens. When the time came, with cunning and courage, he forced Kronos to disgorge his swallowed siblings using a magical potion. His freed brothers and sisters emerged fully grown and ready to fight. The war between the Olympians and the Titans, known as the Titanomachy, shook the foundations of the world. For 10 long years, the two factions battled for supremacy. The Titans, with their immense might and primal fury, fought fiercely to retain their rule. But the Olympians, led by Zeus and aided by the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed Hecatoncheires, turned the tide. The earth trembled, the seas roared, and the skies rumbled as gods and titans clashed in a battle of cosmic proportions. In the end, the Olympians triumphed. The defeated titans were cast down into Tartarus, the deep abyss beneath the earth, sealed away behind impenetrable gates guarded by the hundred-handed giants. With the titans defeated, Zeus and his siblings established a new order. The reign of the Olympian gods began, a divine family who would govern the world and weave their stories into the fabric of human life for millennia to come. As Zeus and his siblings settled into power, they began to shape the world in new and profound ways. The earth, once ruled by the Titans' primal forces, now felt the presence of a new generation of gods, more complex, more personal, and more involved in the fate of mortals. Zeus, as the king of the gods, took his place atop Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece, which became the divine throne and meeting place for the Olympian pantheon. This mountain was not just a physical location, but a symbol of the gods' power, their separation from the mortal realm, and their watchful oversight of human affairs. Zeus was the god of the sky and thunder, the wielder of lightning bolts, and the enforcer of justice and order. His rule was marked by the establishment of law and balance, but also by his many relationships with both gods and mortals, which would spawn countless myths. His siblings, each with their own realms and powers, governed different aspects of the cosmos. Hera, his sister and wife, was the goddess of marriage and family, often depicted as proud and fiercely protective of her domain. Poseidon, lord of the seas and earthquakes, commanded the oceans and all creatures within. Hades, who ruled the underworld, governed the realm of the dead with somber authority. Demeter, goddess of agriculture and fertility, ensured the earth's bounty, while Hestia, goddess of the hearth, watched over the sacred fires that warmed both temples and homes. Together, these 6 Olympians formed the core of the new divine order. But the family grew with the arrival of many other gods and goddesses, each with distinct personalities, symbols, and stories. Their interactions with each other and with humanity created a rich tapestry of myths, explaining the mysteries of nature, human emotion, and fate. But before we explore those stories, it's important to understand that the struggle between order and chaos, between old and new, was a defining theme of Greek mythology. The overthrow of Uranus by Kronos, and then Kronos by Zeus, symbolizes the inevitable passage of power, the constant reshaping of the world. This cycle of succession would echo in many myths to come, reminding us that even the gods were subject to change and destiny. The conflict known as Titanomachy also shows a deep metaphor about transformation. The Titans represented raw, untamed natural forces, earthquakes, storms, and primordial instincts, while the Olympians symbolized a more civilized, structured universe with laws, cities, and social order. Their battle was not only a physical fight, but a cosmic shift from chaos to order, from the wild to the ruled. Though the Titans were defeated and imprisoned, their legacy endured. Some Titans, like Oceanus and Hyperion, were not involved in the war and continued to influence the natural world. Others, such as Prometheus and Atlas, played critical roles in later myths, often challenging the Olympians in their own ways. The story of Zeus's rise is full of fascinating details. For instance, the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants, who were once prisoners themselves, were freed by Zeus during the Titanomachy and gifted him the thunderbolt, his signature weapon. This thunderbolt became a symbol of divine authority and a tool of punishment for the gods. Zeus's cunning and might allowed him not only to defeat Kronos, but also to establish alliances with other divine and semi-divine beings. This network of relationships, fraught with loyalty, betrayal, love, and rivalry, would form the core of Greek mythological storytelling. Yet, even with the Olympians victorious, the universe was not entirely peaceful. The defeated Titans' imprisonment in Tartarus hinted at the continuing presence of chaos beneath the surface, always threatening to erupt. This tension between order and chaos permeates Greek myths, reminding mortals and gods alike that balance must be maintained, but is never guaranteed. As the gods settled into their roles, humanity began to emerge from the shadows of myth. The gods' interactions with humans, their favors and punishments, formed the basis of many stories, lessons about morality, bravery, hubris, and fate. These tales were told and retold around fires, in temples, and eventually in written epics, becoming the cultural foundation of the ancient Greek world. After the Great War, as the Olympian gods settled into their new reign, the cosmos was forever changed. The world that had once been dominated by raw and untamed forces of nature now came under the careful watch of deities who embodied order, justice, and complexity. Zeus, the new king of the gods, was not only a powerful warrior, but also a master of diplomacy and law. His rulership represented the establishment of divine order. He was the enforcer of oaths, the punisher of wrongdoing, and the guardian of hospitality, which was sacred to the Greeks. The thunderbolt he wielded was not just a weapon, but a symbol of his authority and the cosmic balance he upheld. Hera, his sister and wife, was the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage and childbirth. Though often portrayed as jealous and vengeful, especially towards Zeus's many lovers and offspring, Hera was also a protector of families and the sanctity of marriage. Her complex personality in myths reveals the deep respect the ancient Greeks had for family bonds, alongside the acknowledgement of the conflicts they sometimes brought. Poseidon, brother to Zeus, ruled the seas and all waters. With his trident, he could stir storms or calm waves, cause earthquakes, or bring fertility to the land. His moods reflected the unpredictable nature of the ocean, sometimes generous, sometimes furious. Sailors and fishermen prayed to Poseidon for safe voyages, knowing that his favor was crucial for survival on the treacherous waters. Hades, god of the underworld, was the ruler of the dead, a somber and mysterious figure. Unlike the other gods, Hades rarely left his dark realm beneath the earth. Though feared as a grim and just ruler, he was not evil. The Greeks saw death as a natural part of life's cycle, and Hades' role was to maintain order in the afterlife, ensuring the souls of the dead were properly judged and guided. Demeter, goddess of agriculture, was deeply connected to the cycles of nature and human survival. She was worshipped as the bringer of grain and harvest, her moods closely tied to the fertility of the earth. One of the most famous myths about Demeter involves her daughter Persephone, whose yearly descent into and return from the underworld explained the changing seasons. Hestia, goddess of the hearth and home, represented the sacred fire that warmed families and communities. Though less prominent in myths, her presence was essential in Greek life, symbolizing stability, domesticity, and the eternal flame of civilization. These 6 Olympians formed the foundation of the divine world, but the family of gods grew to include many more. Each had their own domains, stories, and symbols. Together, they interacted with humans in ways that explained the mysteries of the natural world and human nature. The tales of these gods were not just fanciful stories. They were a way for the ancient Greeks to understand their environment and society. The gods embodied the forces of nature and the complexities of human emotion: love, jealousy, bravery, deceit, wisdom, and wrath. The myth of the Titanomachy was more than a battle story. It was a metaphor for the transition from chaos to order. The Titans were the wild, uncontrollable forces of the earth, while the Olympians represented reason, culture, and governance. This cosmic struggle reflected the Greek worldview, that life was a balance between these forces, and order must be maintained for civilization to flourish. Though imprisoned, the Titans were not forgotten. Some, like Prometheus, would challenge the Olympians and continue to influence myths and human fate. Prometheus, in particular, is famous for his gift to humanity, the fire of knowledge and craft, which he stole from the gods to empower mankind. This act of defiance brought him eternal punishment, but also symbolized the human spirit's quest for progress and enlightenment. Though imprisoned, the Titans were not forgotten. Some, like Prometheus, would challenge the Olympians and continue to influence myths and human fate. Prometheus, in particular, is famous for his gift to humanity, the fire of knowledge and craft, which he stole from the gods to empower mankind. This act of defiance brought him eternal punishment, but also symbolized the human spirit's quest for progress and enlightenment. The new age of the Olympian gods set the stage for countless stories of heroism, love, tragedy, and divine intervention. Their adventures intertwined with the mortal world, influencing everything from the rise of cities to the fate of kings and heroes. As the divine family grew and their stories spread, they shaped not only ancient Greek religion, but also the art, literature, and philosophy of Western civilization for centuries to come. Among the Olympians, many gods stood out for their vivid personalities and the tales woven around them. Take Athena, for example, the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and craft. Unlike the other gods, who were often driven by passion or impulse, Athena was known for her calm intelligence and strategic mind. Legend tells us she was born fully grown and armored from the forehead of Zeus himself, after he swallowed her pregnant mother, Metis. This dramatic birth symbolizes wisdom emerging directly from the king of the gods, a clear sign of Athena's importance in the divine order. Athena's role extended beyond battle strategy. She was also a protector of cities and craftspeople, especially weavers. The city of Athens was named in her honor, and her presence was central to the Greek ideal of balance between intellect and strength, reason and action. Many myths show her guiding heroes like Odysseus and Perseus, providing both wisdom and protection on their perilous journeys. In contrast, Ares, the god of war, embodied the chaotic and brutal side of battle. Unlike Athena's calculated warfare, Ares was the raw fury and violence of conflict. His myths often portray him as reckless and unpopular among gods and mortals alike, representing the destructive madness that war could bring. Yet, he was a necessary figure, reminding humanity of war's harsh realities and the thin line between courage and madness. Apollo, the radiant god of the sun, music, poetry, and prophecy, was another key Olympian whose influence was felt both in heaven and on earth. He was the embodiment of harmony and order, often depicted playing his golden lyre and inspiring artists and seers. The Oracle of Delphi, one of the most famous sites in ancient Greece, was sacred to Apollo, where priestesses delivered cryptic prophecies believed to come directly from the god. His twin sister Artemis, goddess of the hunt and wilderness, represented the wild, untamed nature that resisted civilization's spread. She was fiercely independent and protector of animals and young women. Artemis's myths often speak to the balance between nurture and independence, the tension between the natural world and human encroachment. Then there's Hermes, the swift messenger god, patron of travelers, merchants, and thieves. Known for his cunning and wit, Hermes could move freely between the mortal and divine worlds, guiding souls to the underworld and delivering messages with speed and precision. His stories are often playful, showing his cleverness and love of mischief, but also his role as a bridge between worlds. Dionysus, god of wine, ecstasy, and revelry, introduced the chaotic and ecstatic aspects of life. His myths reveal the thin veil between order and madness, civilization and wild abandon. Through wine and celebration, Dionysus reminded mortals of the joy and chaos inherent in existence. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, held sway over desire and attraction, inspiring both passion and conflict. Her power was undeniable, capable of stirring love and jealousy alike, affecting gods and mortals in equal measure. Lastly, Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship, was the divine smith who forged the weapons and armor of gods and heroes. His stories often touch on themes of creativity and imperfection. Despite his physical disability, Hephaestus's skill was unmatched, proving that strength lies not only in form, but in spirit and skill. Each of these gods had symbols: Athena's owl, Apollo's lyre, Hermes' winged sandals, that helped ancient Greeks recognize their presence and influence. Through their myths, people understood the complex forces shaping their world: reason and passion, war and peace, life and death. These gods were not distant or purely perfect beings. Their stories showed them with very human qualities: jealousy, love, anger, and humor. This made them relatable and allowed myths to teach lessons about human nature and morality. They were mirrors, reflecting the struggles and triumphs of life itself. As we explore these stories, we begin to see how Greek mythology was more than a collection of tales. It was a rich, living tradition that explained the mysteries of existence and the world around us. As we reflect on the stories of these gods, born from the chaotic void of chaos, battling titans, and shaping the very fabric of the world, it becomes clear that Greek mythology is far more than ancient tales. It is a mirror held up to the human experience, filled with timeless truths and lessons. The cosmos itself was born from chaos, reminding us that before order can arise, there is uncertainty and formlessness. The struggle between Titans and Olympians reflects the eternal conflict within us all, the push and pull between wild instinct and reasoned control, between destruction and creation. Zeus and his siblings represent not just power, but the establishment of law, justice, and balance, ideals that civilizations have strived for across history. Their stories reveal how power can be both a force for order and a source of conflict, shaped by ambition, love, jealousy, and fate. Each god, with their unique personality and domain, illustrates facets of human nature and the world around us, wisdom and war, love and madness, craft and rebellion. They are not perfect. They err, they suffer, they evolve, just as we do. This humanity within divinity is what makes these myths so enduring and meaningful. The tale of Prometheus stealing fire for humanity, the birth of Athena from Zeus's mind, the binding of the Titans in Tartarus. Each myth invites us to ponder the complexities of knowledge, freedom, sacrifice, and transformation. Greek mythology, then, is not a static set of stories, but a living tradition that has shaped art, literature, philosophy, and culture for thousands of years. It challenges us to understand ourselves, our world, and our place in the cosmos. As this episode closes, remember that this is just the beginning. The gods of Olympus hold many more stories, stories of love and vengeance, heroism and tragedy, the sacred and the profane. In the next episodes, we will delve deeper into their lives, their symbols, and the rich tapestry of myths that have captivated imaginations through the ages. Thank you for joining me on this journey from chaos to Olympus. Until next time, may the ancient stories inspire your own quest for meaning, balance, and understanding in the ever-unfolding story of life.